Hey everyone, I'm Sanjana and I have Justin Keller with me today to talk about the future of B2B marketing. Hi Justin, thank you so much for joining me
Hello.
today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So to introduce Justin, Justin is the VP Marketing at Terminus and an award-winning B2B marketer who's disrupting the B2B marketing space with his content. And that's why I'm so excited to talk about the future of B2B marketing with Justin today. So shall we get started?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Awesome. So let's start with this one. How has B2B marketing changed over the years and how have you adapted to these changes?
Let's see. So I've been doing B2B marketing for, 15 years now, right? When I got started, it was just when marketing automation systems were coming online, and
Yeah,
marketing automation systems are very lead based, right? Like, I mean, the core of an marketing automation system is a form, some kind of lead management automation, emails, et cetera. And so because that became kind of the main tool for a B2B marketer, they all of a sudden became completely obsessed with leads as well. And that was kind of how B2B marketers worked for like the last 15 years. I remember I got a job once where I reported into a chief revenue officer, and her charge to me was, look, just get as many leads into my SDRs as you can, let them sort the bodies out. And so all I was trying to do was just maximize leads, top of the funnel, like flood them. I mean, I spent six
yeah,
figures on just buying lists of leads so that humans could sort them out. And it didn't feel good at the time. I didn't know any better at the time. But it didn't feel, it felt a little like, slimy marketing. Skip to today, I think that I think it all boils down to data. Data is what's really kind of
yeah,
changed the game for B2B marketers, because we've got such good data based, on our existing customer base, right? We can identify all the characteristics our customers have in common, and that helps us predict what our future customers look like. And when we can do that, we're able to, I mean, this is account-based marketing, but being able to say, okay, rather than trying to market the entire world, I want to concentrate all of my effort, my resources, my money on just this, finite universe of, 10, 100, 1,000 accounts, and just make them my next customer. And what happens when you do that is you're not worried, I think when you're leads based, you do a lot of spammy marketing, right? Because it's the more the better. So, the more inputs you get, the more outputs you get. With an account centric focus, you're focusing your attention on creating a better experience for fewer people, which is a lot more fun as a marketer. Like, that's kind of like what people get into marketing for. People don't get into marketing to kind of spam people. They get into it to create really cool experiences and tell stories. And that's what it'll let you do when you're focusing on a finite number of accounts. So I think data has really changed it. And I think the amount of, the different ways we can get in front of people is a lot more too. It used to be just email, right? That's about all B2B marketers could do. And now, like, targeted advertising has come so far. There's so many cool direct mail vendors out there. So it's really, I think it's like we're in a golden era of B2B marketing, which is great. And that's, kind of the most fun I've had in my career so far.
yeah. Yesterday I posted something on LinkedIn which said, you know, start to move away from mass marketing to providing personalized experiences. I think what you just said recaps my LinkedIn post yesterday. So that's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what is Terminus doing differently in the B2B marketing space than the rest? Because I've seen you guys do this groundbreaking event a few months back, Break Shit. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
what is Terminus doing differently in the B2B marketing space now? Can you talk about that?
I can. I think that boils down to a couple of things. One, we market to marketers. And so, unlike, if we were marketing to manufacturers or to IT or whatever, we know how marketers work. Like, we understand the games
Yeah,
that we play with each other. And so we feel responsible to bring things up a level, like to kind of cut through the noise. Like, marketers know each other's dirty tricks and we want to avoid them and just do the best we can to create the most engaging, captivating content that we can. And so that's the one thing, right? Because we're marketing to marketers, it's kind of a meta challenge for us to do. And then the other thing I think is we try to keep things really human. It's an important goal for us, is to make it feel like, the Terminus brand or the Terminus content program or the Terminus, even the ads we put out in the world are grounded in like a real place that's coming from a real human, that we don't want to be a faceless B2B company. Because again, as we're marketing to marketers, we want to set the example that it doesn't feel good to be marketed to like you're a cell in a spreadsheet. We want to be marketed to like we're real humans that have feelings and emotions, and we go home at the end of the day and we play with our kids or we have interesting hobbies, like we're actual human beings, and we want that to be front and center. We care about the actual humans that are out there. And so that's the other thing. So I think it's really those two things. One, it's a lot more challenging to market to a marketer, and two, the way we solve for it is by going the extra mile to treat them like they're real human beings.
Awesome, awesome. And I know that you also are going to stream B2B content on Apple TV. So how did you even think of that? Did you just wake up one day and boom, this would work? Or how did this idea was born? Like, what's your playbook there?
I mean, in a way, yes, we did just wake up one day and decide we were going to start a TV channel. But the longer story is that we had been investing a lot in video content. We thought that was an important channel for us. People are busy. They don't have time to read a white paper or, stop and check out a blog post. They do have 90 seconds when they're scrolling through their LinkedIn feed or their Instagram feed.
Yeah.
And so we started out building content for that, just highly consumable, really quick hitting content that puts forth our thought leadership point of view, lets people connect with the humans that are in Terminus, again, trying to make us feel human. And it went so well. Like, I mean, we have this series called The Roof, and we put out
Rooftop, yeah.
Yes, exactly. We put out 10 or 12 episodes. Like this first season, they racked up 50,000 views. Like we had no idea it was going to be so popular. And so that was kind of led us to do more and more.
Was that only on LinkedIn?
That was only on LinkedIn.
Was that only on? Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, nice.
Yep. And so we wanted to, keep putting more and more into video. But I think going back to where we started about kind of how B2B marketers should have more and more channels available to them. It's possible these days to advertise on Hulu and to advertise on Spotify and to advertise on all these different streaming networks.
Yeah.
And so there is, at least my point of view on this, is that B2C marketing and B2B marketing are on a convergence course. And how do we create extremely consumer-friendly experiences? Well, you go where they are, and they're on their couch after dinner streaming Hulu. Okay. And we wanted to be there too. Not like we'd ever be able to credibly compete with Hulu, but wanted to at least kind of give people the option that, hey, you've got a TV in front of you, like you can interact with Terminus content. And so it is launching, actually it's launching Thursday, Terminus TV, TTV as we call it. And awesome. It's great. We'll have a bunch of shows, but it's basically like we've created a new medium for us. So it's like, everyone's got a blog. Not everyone has a TV station, but now we have a TV station. So as we have virtual series, we're going to have a virtual series coming up that's going to last through the end of the year. Every week, there's going to be a new series available on TTV. And as we kind of come up with new show ideas, they'll be available on there. So it's really kind of just given us a new playground to exist in and to create content for, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I think people like me will keep following you and see how that is picking up, and we'll also try to follow your footsteps. I think you and Salesforce, I think you're the only two who have done this, right? So far?
Yes, we saw their announcement and we're like, oh, well, we should announce it right now rather than waiting till it's ready. So yeah, so Salesforce Plus and Terminus TV.
Awesome. That's really great, really great. I was very happy when I read that LinkedIn post, and that is how I thought I'll reach out to you and talk to you about the future of B2B marketing, because I've not seen anyone go to this level. So that is really interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and speaking of such creative ideas, where do you go to find ideas for inspiration? Where do you get inspired as a marketer?
That's a good question. I'd say, first of all, it's where I don't go, right? Like I have read a lot of business books in my life, hundreds of business books. And at some point they start to lose their meaning, right? Like so I hate business books. The LinkedIn posts I see sometimes, I'm like, frustrated by, because it's, people make very strong opinions that, aren't necessarily based on anything. And so I try to go the complete opposite direction. Rather than asking my peers, asking kind of the hive mind, what marketing are you doing? I think okay, what is B2C doing really well that we can copy or we can rip off? Or what's kind of the I don't want to say pop culture trends, but like kind of the internet trends that are happening that we can get ahead of.
Mm.
So it's really more a matter of trying to figure out what people are already doing and then not doing that. Right. And that's kind of what's helping us be a little more disruptive, because we don't want to do what other people are doing. We want to do our own thing. And at that point, it's kind of a matter of just having a really brilliant team that I get to work with every day, who are on the same page, want to do new, creative, groundbreaking stuff, and so we challenge each other and try to outwit each other with ideas, and that's really kind of how all these things come about.
Do you always have these brainstorming sessions at Terminus to come up with ideas like these?
No, we don't. I don't think we've ever had I'm trying to think. I don't think we've ever had a brainstorming session. I think these things
Okay.
happen like in between meetings, right? Where we're slacking one another. Someone
Yeah.
says, "Oh, I've got an idea." And another person will say, "That's great, but what if we did this and, kind of change this?" And so it's no, it's all like a lightning storm all of a sudden. So it's not like we sit down and we try to come up with ideas.
Mm.
It's just kind of like someone starts, puts a crack in the wall, and then everyone else immediately starts trying to like, make that crack bigger and bigger and bigger until we're open up to something new.
Interesting. Awesome. And what skill sets define a B2B marketer in 2021? You are speaking of, creativity. That is for sure. You need as a B2B marketer. But what other skill sets define a B2B marketer?
That's an amazing question. So I'll give a little of my background.
Sure.
So I actually started out in B2C at a very, very high growth internet tech company. My first job out of college. And so I got obsessed with tech. And, I'm 25, maybe, and I'm looking at kind of like the executives on our team. What do they all have in common? Who's like the head of marketing and what's his deal? And I remember my CEO said to me, well, he's just a math wizard. He's so good at math. He understands the mechanics of ad performance and all these things. And so I got in my head, that's what a CMO does. CMO is really good with numbers. And so I went to business school, to not only business school, but to like the most quantitative business school I could find, where it was like, half the curriculum was just math. And I'm not a great math student, but I managed to get through pretty well anyway. And then moved to California to run performance marketing, right? I thought, okay, B2B, I've got, the educational background. I know my math. Let's run performance marketing. Like, let's constantly try to optimize based on what the numbers are showing me. And it worked. It's fine. I mean, that's, I think, kind of what most B2B marketers think about. And it wasn't until I started at Sigster, which was, again, a company that marketed to marketers, where I'm like, okay, well, the numbers are great. I've got a good grasp on the numbers. This audience isn't going to care if I change the button color to blue or green, right? Like, just kind of like those tricks that B2B marketers play. So we got a lot more interested in brand, investing in ideas and stories. And that worked so much better than any number of, analytics and optimizations I ran prior to my career, that I kind of realized, wow, this whole time I've been trying to not be creative on purpose. I've been trying to be very analytical. And as soon as I put a little creativity into it, it made all of the other measurable things so much more successful. So I think that's super important. I think we're in a marketplace and in a era of marketing where there's so much digital noise and pollution out there that we need to be able to cut through, that you can't do it by being analytical. You have to do it by being creative. And so I think for the longest time, like the MBA student has been kind of the head of marketing. I think we're just now turning a point where the MFA, like the artistic, the creative person, as long as you've got a good grasp of business fundamentals, is going to be a lot more powerful voice in a company.
Okay. And what if I have analytical skills, but I don't have the creative skills? Can I master creativity?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a great question, Sonia. What do you think? I mean, let's say someone came to you and said, okay, we need a really creative idea. Do you think you'd struggle with that, or how would you go about trying to solve that?
For me, like, I'm a creative person, but I'm not an analytical person. So
Okay.
I struggle there. But for creativity is what I'm good at. I'm good at brand marketing. So I wouldn't struggle there.
Okay.
But a lot of people I've worked with are really good at, numbers, but they're not good at creativity. But there's a huge demand for people who are creative, right?
Yeah.
Because not many of them are creative. So
I think
that's what
it's
made me
probably,
think.
yeah, it's a good question because you can teach. People say they're not good at math. You can teach math, no matter how bad at math you are.
Yeah,
If you try it, it's something that you can master. Like there's clear rules
yeah,
for it. I think it's so hard to teach creativity. I think it can be taught for sure, but it's not like math. Yes or no? It's binary. Is it right or is it wrong? Creativity, there's no right or wrong answers. It's all subjective, which
yeah,
is also comes with its own share of problems though, because when something's subjective, everyone's got an opinion about it, right? And so you open yourself up to a lot of difficult conversations and arguments.
yeah. Also, I think reading a lot helps. Do
Yeah,
you agree?
100%.
Because when
Agree.
you
I
read a
very much
lot,
agree.
you start to think of a lot of ideas, and then you mix and match those ideas and create your own. I think that's how creativity is born, right?
I agree. I agree. And it's like
Yeah,
fiction, even not like, I mean, like nonfiction and fiction, but
yeah,
like, business books. Don't read a business book to get creative. Um, there's this great quote. I love this, that creativity is the art of hiding your sources, right? And so it's not like being creative is thinking of something new.
yeah,
It's finding something that exists and kind of repackaging
yeah,
it so no one knows and making it yours. And
exactly.
we do a lot of that.
Yeah. I agree. Awesome. So I just have one question about your role as a VP of brand marketing. I'm just curious, like what your KPIs are, and how do you tie brand efforts to revenue as a VP marketing?
Yeah, so I think our leading KPIs are web traffic, time on site, right? So when we're sitting down, like, at the beginning of the quarter, trying to figure out what we can do to influence the numbers immediately, how do we get more people to engage with our brand? How do we get them to spend more time engaging our brand, right? And so for us, click-throughs and conversions are very important, but the leading indicator for all those things is how engaged is someone with your brand. And so that's what we try to do, is just like, if we make the connection that the more time someone's spending on our website, the more engaged with their brand they are. So how do we change things
Yeah,
on our website, either from a product marketing perspective, from a content perspective, what have you, so that they're spending more time with us? And then how do we get more people there? And then after that, my team's responsible for content, communications, design, kind of the squishier parts of marketing. And so what we think of, I think my personal take is that content is the fuel for any demand engine, right? If you're going to create demand, you have to
for
start with
sure.
content. And so
Yeah,
we're responsible for the fuel. We're kind of a refinery almost. And so constantly trying to figure out, okay, what does the market need to hear? What's Terminus' thought leader position? What's a hot take? How do we make people a better marketer when they're done engaging with our content? And so we create the content that we think that not only our demand team or sales team needs, but the marketplace needs as well. And then we just kind of follow that back. We look backwards and see, okay, how much revenue did that influence? How many new opportunities did that create? And we take that and then we think, okay, well, next time we're going to make a bunch of content. Let's keep these things in mind, because this worked really well, but this one we thought was going to be a hit didn't work as well. And so just constantly trying to refine these creative ideas through an analytical lens.
awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for that. And as a marketer for more than 15 years, and as a VP of marketing now, uh, can you tell us, like, how do you get promoted? How do you go from one stage to another? You should have faced a number of promotions in your career.
Yeah, I think it changes at points different during your career. I think when you're getting started, you need to prove that you're willing to work hard, and that you're not only willing to work hard, but you're willing to be effective with the time that you're working, right? So no one gets a promotion just for working hard, but people get promoted because they work hard on the right things. So being able to understand what's most important for the business at any given time, and then working really hard and executing against that, I think is how you get promoted at the first stage of your career. After that, I think it becomes about how can you lead other people to do the same thing, right? How do you start to manage a team? How do you prioritize
Yeah,
their time in the right way, where they're moving the needle, they're having a positive impact on the business, and they feel good about what they're doing, and are working together, I think that's the next thing, being able to prove that you're a force multiplier, right? So it starts out as an individual contributor, then as a kind of early stage manager, how do you make sure other people are doing really good work? And then I think finally, kind of when you get to the executive level of marketing, it becomes about being a connector, about seeing how all these disparate parts of the organization are functioning. What is this team working on and creating? Team's goal for us, say, for the next 2 quarters? What are the competitors doing that is working for them and not us? And being able to see all these different, chess pieces on a chessboard almost, and being able to say, okay, well, if we do this, this, and this, all these things will come together. And it's I think at that last stage about being able to tie different parts of the organization together for the benefit of your brand, for the benefit of any marketing campaigns or programs that you're running, so that you're not only benefiting the marketing team and your core goals, but you're helping reverberate the entire business as a whole.
Awesome. That's an excellent answer. Thank you so much for that. And I think we've reached the end of the episode. But before I wrap it up, let's do a quick rapid fire.
Oh, I can't wait.
Okay. So who do you follow the most on LinkedIn?
Well, my buddy Sangram, I have my own Twitter thread for him, so I can follow what he's up to, because he's always having wildly interesting conversations. But that's an easy one. And then after that, who I honestly follow. I've got another long kind of a Twitter stream or channel, or whatever, for all the people that make me laugh on Twitter, right? Like I think those people, like the Twitter comedians, are who I follow the next, because they're the ones that are able to use 140 characters, 160 characters, however much it is, to tell an entire hilarious story. And I think at the end of the day, that's what marketing is. It's saying as much as you can with as few characters as possible. And so that's kind of where I try to watch them and see what they're doing and see how we can do that too.
Awesome. Do you know their names? Do you remember their names?
I can send you my thread. I do like Alexis Gay a lot. So she's I don't know if you follow her, but she roasts B2B a lot. She's a San Francisco millennial who kind of uses all of our funny words against us.
Oh, that's really interesting. I'll get the names from you, and then I'll add it to the video description later.
Great.
Awesome. So what's your favorite book or podcast?
Book or podcast?
Yeah.
My favorite book, gosh, I am a big fan of William Faulkner. So I've read almost every book he's written. And of his books, I would say The Sound and the Fury may be my favorite, or As I Lay Dying. So that's kind of on the fiction side. Nonfiction, I really like Contagious. So I know I've been trash talking business books, but if I'm going to read a business book, it's one of these two, okay? Contagious by Jonah Berger. And it's basically like, why do ideas catch on? Like, what is unique about an idea that makes them spread? Love that book. And then as a brand marketer, one thing that's been very helpful to me in my career is a book called The Hero and the Outlaw. And this basically takes Jungian archetypal psychology and applies it to businesses and says, okay, there's basically only 12 characters in the world that a business can be. You need to figure out what yours is. You can't be more than one. And the stronger you identify with that archetype, the better your brand is going to sing through. So Terminus is the creator archetype, right? And you could also be an outlaw. You can be a sage. You can be a lover, but you can only be one. So for Terminus, we're the creators, and that's kind of, shows through, and we're always trying to create really big ideas. And we do that because we think that's our archetype. We'd probably behave differently if we were a different one.
Interesting recommendations. And do you have any favorite podcasts?
Oh, favorite podcasts? No, I don't listen to a whole lot of podcasts. I like Flip My Funnel a lot. Over quarantine, my wife and I started listening to a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where a few comedians basically just make fun of really bad movies. So our activity would be to watch a really bad movie. We'd make fun of ourselves, and then we'd listen to these people on this podcast who ended up becoming feeling like our friends, listen to them, make fun of it too. And that was our quarantine activity. But we don't listen to too many podcasts.
Okay, got it. And let's say hypothetically you're getting your career started. What would you tell to yourself now?
Wow, gosh, I would tell myself so many things. I hate to think of myself as an early 20s professional. I would tell myself to be patient. right? As long as you work hard and you do the right things, good things will happen. I was very impatient. And then I would say continue to ask questions. I think younger employees get shy about asking questions because they think they're obvious or they might look dumb asking them. Asking questions is never a bad thing. So ask
Okay.
questions, but also don't take the answers for granted, right? You're young in your career. You're the future. You shouldn't be afraid to be disruptive. So, don't take anything for granted.
Awesome. All right. So I've exhausted all the rapid fire questions for you, and this was absolute fun. I loved your energy and enthusiasm throughout the conversation. So I'll give your LinkedIn profile in the description so people can connect with you later if they want to talk about Terminus or anything else. And yeah, it was nice talking to you, Justin. Thank you so much.
You too. I appreciate you letting me hang out with you this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.